Well, hello there. How y'all doing? This is Fat Guy Flies RC. Well, got a plane. Imagine that, right? But not a very big plane. This, I want to get a big shout out to Hobby Zone for sending me this plane out. This is the all new ARROWS Hobby, the L-39. It is their latest in their little basically chuck EDFs. You just chuck them in the air and they fly wonderfully. If y'all watched my channel, you would have just seen me do the T-33 the other day, and this would be no exception. Look at that. It's a good looking little model, isn't it? You saw me just take it out of the box. Typical packing wonderfully. Alright, like all ARROWS and FMS and E-Flight models are all packed wonderfully. Alright, what we got here is the ARROWS Hobby L-39 Albatros. It features a powerful 2627 4500 kV brushless motor. High efficient, it has a 50mm 11 bladed EDFN, so it's going to sound great. Has a 30 FBSC. This is a 3S plane. Hand launch, belly launch, no landing gear. No, this is typical or very simple, what you call a bank and yank. In other words, you have no rudder to deal with. Simply elevator and ailerons for control. So it makes it very simple. Also has the vector system, which is ARROWS version of a safe, and so it has 3 levels. It has no gyro at all. There's no help. It also has stability mode, which is the same thing as self-level, like a safe that is in the Spectrum world, and also what they call optimized mode, which is the same as AS3X or wind mitigation. So let's unbox this thing. And interesting, this is the first time with their little series of gliders, or a little series of EDFs that come with different decals that you can use to customize yours. So, which is kind of cool. I really do hope they come out with more of these. They're just so, like, you look over there, I don't know if you can see, but right over there is my Viper and my T-33 from the same line. Nice big decal sheet. So I want to make sure these aren't water slide. I think they are actually, no, they're actual decals, decals. Actually peel and stick decals, so that's cool. Set that off over there. And a nice manual that is partially folded, but still is workable. And remember, always keep up with all your bits and pieces as you're unboxing and putting things away. Again, I want to thank Hobby Zone for sending this plane out for me for my review. It's going to take a Phillips head screwdriver, something, because these screws are not very big, and it only takes 4, and you get an extra one. So total of 5 screws. Now, bottom of the wing reminds me a lot of the T-33, and plastic here, plastic here, plastic here, and you're just going to chunk this whole model straightforward. Very small part count. Okay. Got your horizontal stabilizer or elevator. Remember, always work your hinges whenever you bring a model out. Well, this already has the ailerons hooked up already, so I'm going to leave them right where they're at. I'm not going to work that aileron without it being powered. Nose cone. And it doesn't... Oh, the very tip is plastic, so you can set the model in the corner somewhere if need be. And then last but not least is the fuselage. And very simple. Very nice foam. Really looks good. They've already got the little piece of tape on there, like everybody does, to grab a hold of their model. Grab a hold of their battery hatch. Already got all the leads already labeled for you. Now you're going to see one that says S-Bus. That is what you're going to use to control your vector system. And other than that, you got throttle, you got elevator, and you got aileron. Okay, and this other lead that I'm not. Oh, these two leads here are for the Y off of your aileron. That's what those are for. Okay, so those need to be fed back down, back underneath. Okay, yeah, you're gonna see these with the locking pins. You'll need to when you put your wing on. See them leads right there? You're gonna feed them through this hole here and hook them there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, this is a extremely small part count. All you have is fuselage, elevator, and main wing, and nose cone. And that is it. Okay, so let's, like I say, keep up with all your stuff. I've already checked the styrofoam coffin. There's nothing in there. Okay, now, first thing you're going to want to do, you're going to want to, oh, this is a nice thing. Whenever you're going to have to glue in your horizontal stabilizer, okay? And it's going to go control horn side down, okay? But look how that fits in there nice and tight. Look what they've done. They've already removed the paint here, which you always want to remove the paint if you're going to be gluing parts in. There too. All right, so what I like to do, and we're just going to go ahead and put this thing together, is I like to take my knife and I'm going to score the areas where they removed that paint, okay? And even where it's going to spill over, I'm going to score that a little bit. And what that does is that gives more surface area for your glue to adhere to, okay? And I like to use just your typical cheap, what they call cheap Chinese glue. It comes with a lot of kits, and it's just basically rubber cement is all it is. It's a foam safe glue. And it sets up pretty quick. You know, it's solid and flyable in about an hour. And I like using it. Remember, you don't want to go too crazy, but you don't want to be too chinchy either. Just a good coverage, because this is what holds a major control part of your plane together. So, control surface of your plane. Very, I love the paint scheme on this. This looks amazing. But it just simply slides in there. Get that in there. Pull it apart. Some air in there. This isn't like foam tack. It's very similar. It only fits in there one way. The way they got that channel in there, you cannot screw that up. Okay? And I'd be willing, then you just take that excess glue, kind of rub that out with your fingers, and here in another hour or so, that's going to be completely set up. You're not going to have to worry about it. Okay. All right, let's take our other little pieces. All right, we're going to take our, let me see real quick. I want to see how this does. All right, you got your leads. Let's see if maybe they'll fit. Okay, yeah, never mind. You don't have to fish them. You don't have to fish the aileron leads. You have to fish them through, but you don't fish these back in there, okay? And Instead, you're going to fish your aileron leads from the actual wing through. Okay? Take my little plane stand here. If you don't want to leave your model sitting too flat on something. Okay? Alright. I'm going to fish those through. Just like that. You know what? Instead of doing that, let's make sure. Let me back up for just a minute. I want to do something real quick. I want to make sure that aileron servo is centered. Okay? So how I'm going to do that, real quick, let me grab my servo tester. We're going to make sure that servo is centered before we go any further. Okay. Now, any servo tester would do as long as you return it to its neutral position. Okay. So look at my servo tester up. Oh, I have powered that servo tester. All right. Well, let's pause real quick while I find my working servo tester. Okay, continuing on. The servo is nice and centered, so I don't have to worry about that. Take my wing here. Now they have fished everything through. Okay, that's nice and centered. All right, you're going to take your wing. You already got your elevator on there. Okay. I'm going to fish my little leads from my servos through. Make sure I get them before I start. All right, you know what? I may have told you all wrong. If anything else, all else fails, look at the instructions. You may need to feed those aileron leads through there first. Okay. Let's see, put that through, put there. Now it just shows that you feed the leads from the wing through the opening there and then hook them up. So however way you figure that out, drop a piece of paper there, I don't know what it was. Oh, not the vector. Okay. So I think it would be easier because you have this conglomeration of wires right there in order to get down to the control board there, which is basically your vector system. It might be a lot easier for you to fish these down there. Yeah, it is. It would be easier to fish the leads that come off the vector, the back of the control board, back like this. You got plenty of room for just push them through with your finger. Okay. And then you'll see them. It's easier for you to get a hold of them this way. I mean, they're very definite. They're the only two that have those quick connects on the side. Or not quick connects, but have the locking mechanisms. I'll show you what I mean. These right here, remember I showed these right here. Fish them through here. Okay. Take your wing, take the wires. Anytime you're hooking servos up together, okay, I'm going to take these servo wires here and I'm going to hook them or install them in either end of these. These have these little retaining locks on either side. But anytime you're hooking servo ends together, you always hook them up, no matter what, if it's a white or yellow. you always hook light to light. That's your polarity. Light to light, dark to dark. No matter what the colors are, that's always going to be light to light and dark to dark. Okay, in this case, once they're hooked up, you should see a brown wire. Let me see if I can find a way that you can see this on the camera here. But the white wire or the yellow wire should hook up with the yellow wire. The brown wire should hook up with the brown wire. And that middle wire, of course, is the red. But it's light to light, dark to dark. That's always the rule of thumb. And now you can just fish those through. Got plenty of room in that cavern for them wires. Make sure they don't get pinched when you apply the wing. Okay, you don't want them to get pinched, because over time that may cause you a problem, especially if they get pinched too severely. And that just sits in there nice and pretty, like that. Those, you're going to take them 4 screws, and you get the 1 extra Phillips head screws. Okay. Now I can remember from building the T-33, you may have to finagle your wing just a little bit. In other words, you may have to kind of work it into where the hard points for the plastic, where these screws go in, you may have to work them a little bit in order to get the screws to line up. Hopefully they have improved that to where you won't have to do that, but we shall see. We shall see. Oh no, I got immediate bite. So that one, but that one went in fine. Let's see how this one goes. Always doing a crisscross pattern the way you hook up your wings. The way you hook up anytime you're putting these models together, putting on a wing, crisscross your pattern. Very similar if you've ever changed a tire or put a tire back on a car, crisscross your lug nuts as you put them in. That way it seats more evenly. The other thing too, you never want to over tighten. You're talking about plastic and foam here. So whenever you feel that screw bottom out, just get it nice tight and maybe back off just half a touch. Just a little bit, back off just a touch. Because heat and time, it'll expand. But yeah, it has a very definite, you can definitely tell when it grabs. Nice and tight, and then back off half a touch. All right, now, that's on there. Starting to look an awful lot like an airplane. Now, the nose cone is a nice tight fit. To be honest, the instructions call for you to glue that in, but you know what? That is such a tight fit, I don't think I'm going to. Because let that take the impact and break off, buy yourself another nose cone. But if you glue that in there, you know, then it might take up part of your fuselage if the nose cone gets knocked off. So that's in there nice and tight. You may even want to put a little magnet in there on either end, but that's in there awfully tight. All right, now that is there, everything is routed. Now there's a little yellow wire that's coming off that vector system. I think that's if you had a Futaba system. I don't know what it is. It might be a reversing on the ESC, but why you would want it on a little jet like this, I don't know. I don't know if the instructions even address what that is. Okay, there's a little yellow wire that's coming off of that ESC. Usually that is a reverse. I don't remember it saying anything about reversing. Okay, well, that's basically the build. All right. Just so you know, the CG is 40 to 55 millimeters off the leading edge of the wing. Not this little triangular, but the flat straight part. So from here back about 45 to 46 millimeters to give you a landmark when this is on. Okay. Oh, that's easy. You can see these two panel lines here. Basically line up with the, there's this line there, and that's pretty much it right there. So hopefully that translates, yeah. All right, so basically there's this pent line here, and that's pretty much, yeah, that's the CG right in that there. So got your fingers here, your CG is going to be right in that line right there. So you should be able to chunk it from there. That is a good looking little model. Alrighty. That's the basic unboxing and the basic build. I mean, all you do is you glue on your elevator, okay, work your hinges, fish your lead wire, servo leads in from your off the back of the control board out, the locking clamps, and then the servo leads from the ailerons on the wings. Mate them together, light to light, dark to dark, settle them in, fish them into that cavity there underneath. That's right there underneath. Make sure that nothing is pinched. Put in your 4 screws in a crisscross pattern as you put them in, and remember they are a small Phillips head. Tighten down your wing, snug but not overly tight. And this is what you should end up with. The nose cone does call for you to in the instructions to glue it on, but it fits on so snug, such a tight pressure fit, that I'm just going to leave it like that. Instructions call for a 1300 milliamp battery. It has been my experience bitterly with these ARROWS RC log gliders that a 1300 milliamp is not sufficient enough, and it makes the plane fly a little too tail heavy. And you know, the rule of thumb is nose heavy planes, if it's too nose heavy planes fly poorly. Tail heavy planes fly once. So I will be using an 1800 milliamp, but I will fit it in there on my CG. Well, that ends the unboxing and basic build. The basic build. I'm going to be installing a Spectrum AR410. Since I have no rudder, I'll be using the rudder channel, putting it on a 3-position switch to run the vector system, which has the 3 levels. And that's pretty much it. The next video will be the radio setup, how I'm going to set up with the radio, and then also showing you the CG with a battery installed, and also the mate. So 2 videos total. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless y'all. And there again, this is the ARROWS Hobby L-39, just recently released on August 1st. Hobby Zone sent me one out for review, and I want a big thank you to them. And what I find and what I don't like about a model, I'll say, hey, I don't like this, or this is what I do like, because they only want honest reviews, regardless of, even though they've sent me this plane, they want me to say honestly how I feel about it. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless y'all. And don't forget, faith, family, and friends, and then planes, especially cool looking little jets. Bye-bye. I have to turn the video off. Let me add something on to the build of this. I discovered it's easier when you go to hook up your 2 elevator control surface, or the clevises to the control arm. The little nipple that slides through there doesn't necessarily fit all that well. Take a small screw, like your wing screws that you have, okay, and actually screw them through. Just kind of ream out the hole that you want to pick on the arm of the control surface, control room arm, and ream it out just a little bit so that it fits in there easier for you. You don't want to bend that little nipple, because that's what holds the control surface in place. Also, you'll find that whenever you go to hook these up, they don't, the control rods don't quite reach. Take a small Allen wrench. After you bound the model up, take a small Allen wrench and go in there and loosen this grub screw to let them reach. Make sure they're nice and even, okay, here, and then tighten that back down. And that's just an easier way to center your elevator servo. Just a real quick little addendum there. Bye.